This is the CC Radio Podcast. Welcome to the show, everyone. You are listening to Believe, Australian Paranormal and UFO Radio. My name is Cade Moyer, and thanks for tuning in. If you've had an encounter, get in touch with me. My email address is believe@ccradio.com.au, or you can message me on Facebook at facebook.com/Believe UFO Radio. If you enjoy this episode, there are a few things you can do to help the show. Firstly, you can go to iTunes and leave us a 5-star rating and review. Or you can share the show around social media with your friends and family, and that would help us grow. Thanks for joining me tonight. I have a really great episode lined up for you. Tonight I have Karam joining us, and Karam has been having UFO encounters nearly all his entire life. He encountered his first one in Turkey outside his family's apartment window, and what's so interesting about that is that his entire family saw the craft as well. He also goes into a few of his most recent encounters here in Australia, and he even has video footage of some of these encounters. So I'm working on getting these videos off him and should hopefully have them on our episode show notes within the week. So if you want to see that, just jump onto our website and look for this episode. But before we get into that, let's talk about some iTunes 5-star ratings and reviews. Each week, I'll read out a new 5-star review that is left for me on iTunes. So if you want your review left out, simply jump on iTunes, leave me a 5-star review, and let me know what you enjoy about the show, and I might read it out on the next episode. This one's titled Spooky Stuff, and it comes from Benedict Crimple Crump from Australia. If you like paranormal stories in an Australian setting, then this is the pod for you. It's spooky, but not too spooky. So thank you to that iTunes user, but for now, let's get into Karam's encounter. I want to welcome Karam to the show. Karam, thanks for coming on.
Thank you, Kate. No worries.
We were talking a little bit earlier before the show started, and you said that you had your first encounter, because you've actually had multiple encounters, and hopefully we get to touch on all of those today. But you said your first encounter happened all the way back in 1985. Do you mind taking us back to that first encounter?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, right. I'm actually 45 now, so this is going back to my teenage days. 1985 approximately. This is one of the most intriguing events actually happened for me, because I still remember to this date and never forget it actually. Yeah, what it is, I was actually sleeping. This is after midnight. Went to the bed, and it was a deep sleep, and on my bed, I just woke up to these weird sounds coming from my room. And the sound actually similar to some sparks from electrical devices. And this sound woke me up. And when I opened my eyes, I saw all my room was glowing in red. So what happened was, I was just checking the source of this light. I turned left, on my bed, and there was a window on my left. This is in an apartment that was on level 4. So it's about a level 4 flat. You can, those apartments you can imagine. Just checking the window, I saw this red sphere just hovering in front of my window. So this is actually only a couple of meters from where I was sleeping. And as you can tell, I was a teenager and I got scared, and I'm trying to work out what this thing is. I never experienced something like that in my life before, and you can imagine that. But just scared looking at this thing, a glowing red sphere running from my window, hovering there. For about 2 minutes, I just watched this thing, um, and just in amazement. Um, yeah, after 2 minutes, it started to move slowly towards to the right, going towards to the other windows of our flat. And when it started doing that, I just ran to my sister's room. I watched this sphere from there, and like my sisters were thinking, "What the heck is going on here?" They couldn't understand, why I was there. They were freaking out a bit, and they saw this red glowing lights coming into their room. And then thoughts after that went to my parents' window, and my father actually also got up and trying to work out what's going on, and he actually saw these lights as well, and the sphere as well. Yeah, and then later on we couldn't actually monitor it because it just disappeared after that, just moved on, and we didn't see it anymore.
Okay, yeah. So do you have a rough, I guess, size of how big this, I guess, craft or light was?
Yeah, I assume this thing was about close to a meter in diameter.
Okay, that's quite large.
Not quite as large to carry someone in there, but obviously this must be some kind of alien drone or something. I don't know. I'm not sure why it was in front of my window, but in those days, Turkey had a lot of UFO incidents. It was all over the news and newspapers. This was pretty frequent incidents, about UFOs back then. But I could also add that after that incident, I saw the council people came to check up all these electricity lines, which I could see from the window. They were trying to work out what's going on, and but they didn't know what happened there. Obviously, either this device was probably, getting electricity from these power lines or something. I'm not sure. Yeah, maybe that sound was related to that. Yeah, a few people was freaking out.
Yeah, I could imagine. Now, did you have anyone else in the say the other flats? Did they happen to see this craft as well, or did they see any of the light, or did they hear any of the interactions that you also had?
I'm assuming nobody has seen this sphere, only my family and myself, because none of the people in our apartment has said anything about it. No one said anything. Yeah. And I assume they are the one they called this the council to check up the power lines. Obviously, they didn't know what was going on.
And was there any other reports around the city or maybe the neighborhood of anyone else seeing something just like this?
No reports, but I know there was a military base, aircraft military base close to my apartment, not far away, probably about 10 k's or something.
And did you see any, I guess, activity coming from that base after this encounter?
No, we would definitely see the fighter jets, just going around the city doing normal test runs, But yeah, never seen any UFOs like that ever.
And do you and your family talk about the event much?
Oh yeah, years after that, we always remind that incident. Actually, my father brings that up sometimes, and he says, "Yeah, I've seen that," and he's still amazed to this day, We're just not sure why it was in, why not somebody else, and why in front of my window. Just not true.
And and did it ever visit that apartment again, or was it kind of this is a one-off incident and it's never kind of come around, or nothing like that's happened since then?
Nah, that was one-off. As much as I could tell, that was one-off. We never seen it again. But the thing is, it was strange. I was also seeing, in those days, I've seen a few UFO dreams. One particular one was really interesting. I still remember that till today as well. Which had I could just briefly tell you what happened in that dream.
Yeah, that would be great. Thank you.
Yeah. So the whole thing starts with the fighter jets chasing up the small UFOs in that area. You can see them flying through the atmosphere, and the clouds. And then shortly after that, you see this massive sphere-shaped, a big UFO ship coming out and just docking in the air on the city. And so I'm trying to think what's going on and why this is happening. Obviously, military is, trying to fly these UFOs away, but they've been unsuccessful because the UFOs disabled all these military aircraft. So the military aircraft is disabled. They're nowhere to be seen anymore. All the small UFOs just staying in the air, just hovering. Yeah, right after that. So I'm still trying to work out what's going on, and all of a sudden, I see people singing and walking through the streets, and amazing scene, just a celebration or something, and then I realize it's an arrival. So it's an alien civilization arrived on Earth, and they're doing a celebration with the people of humanity, that they've actually come together, they've reached together. So, yeah, I still remember that.
That's a positive outcome. That's a good one.
Yeah, it was, actually, yeah. The military was trying to drive them away, but they've been unsuccessful, and the humanity actually comes together, and then they celebrate their reunification.
Now, it's great. Now, I just want to touch on just the actual UFO that you saw there. So you're kind of under the impression that it might have been an alien drone. Are you able to explain any markings or describe how it looked up close? If you were able to see any detail or anything like that on it?
There was no particular details about it because it was full red glowing sphere. So there's no markings, no lines through it, nothing, just a sphere with red glowing lights. And
was it just a solid red color? Was it pulsing? Was it?
No, just glowing red, not pulsing, just full red on. Because my whole room was glowing in red. That was so powerful. Yeah, it was just glowing red. Yeah.
And could you feel any heat off it with it being so close? Was it changing the atmospheric conditions? So was it hotter? Was it colder? Was it anything like that? Nothing?
Not at all. Yeah, it was. I remember it was a bit cold at that time. I'm not sure if it was autumn or spring or something. But yeah, no, I didn't feel any heat. No heat at all.
Do you mind telling me about the other UFO encounters that you've had there, Karen?
Yeah, the rest of the incidents relating to UFOs, I've seen some of them in Melbourne, particularly. So one of them being in, I'm just coming back from work, and this is going back in 2002, just after work. So I got on the freeway. But the traffic was really bad that day. So I'm stuck in traffic waiting, the bumper to bumper. So I always, because I'm into UFOs and been really interested in UFOs and always check the skies. Doesn't matter if it is night or day. Yeah. So it was a lucky catch this time because, when I was on the waiting for the traffic to move on, I just looked up on the sky and just thought, what's this? Because it was a bit dark. But I seen this object just on top of my car. we're talking a couple 100 meters high, And this object, I go, what's this? I couldn't tell what it is first, but then when I looked at it carefully, it was actually a dark object, really dark. But you could see probably the lights bouncing back from the environment that's just reflecting through this device, this object. And so you could see the outlines of this object just hovering in the air. But just that was a brief moment when I saw this thing. It was like maybe just 1 or 2 minutes, then the traffic moved on, and then I couldn't see it anymore.
And while you're in the traffic there, did anyone else see this with you? Or were you alone in the car, or did maybe any other vehicles, drivers, did they see anything?
Yeah, good question. No one was interested, I guess. No one seen it twice. Yeah, because you know how it is. People are, just rushing to get home at that time. And you know how people are. They're not really looking up. They're not really interested in the subject. They're not aware of what's going on out there, but I'm always aware and looking out for it,
Yeah, and did you get anything from this UFO? Because just with the previous encounter that you had, you said you were having dreams after it. Now, when you saw this one, did you have any similar kind of dreams happening or anything like that?
I had a few dreams in Australia, yeah, but that actually cut down as years passed by. I didn't see these dreams, and it became very rare. It actually went down in numbers, yeah. That is, it used to be more frequent.
Okay. And do you want to move on to your final UFO encounter, if you don't mind?
Yeah, definitely. This was more interesting because it involves 5 objects. Yeah, let's move on to these objects, which happened in 2003 in summer. This is again, I was coming back from work early in the morning doing a night shift. Again on freeway. I don't know why. Yeah. I actually, when I was driving, something just took my eye from the sky. I thought, what's going on here, So I looked up. I seen this object descending from the atmosphere into the sky, coming down to our city. But it was leaving this trail behind it. So I thought it could be something, maybe military craft or something else. I'm not sure. But at first I thought it was a meteor or something coming down from the atmosphere. But no, it wasn't. It was actually some kind of object, and it just stopped in about halfway in the sky and just stopped there. Didn't move, didn't go anywhere. It was just hovering there. That's it.
And what did it look like?
Well, it was like a silver disc. So the thing is, it was more of them. So after the first one I saw, there was the second one just descended down and just stayed in the sky, hovering at the same level with the other UFO. And then the third one did the same thing. The fourth one did the same thing. Of course, you can tell I'm freaking out. Like I'm going, I'll be having an invasion or something, because they're all coming down from the sky. And I don't know what they're doing, like they just stay there hovering in the sky. And when I saw the fifth one, then I freaked out even more. But I thought, okay, because I had binoculars back then. We didn't have any fancy, video cameras or something like that in those days. We're more gifted these days, actually. Yeah. So I drove to home ASAP. As soon as I got there, I got my binoculars and start to search for these objects. And when I had a look at them, I could actually see them in more detail. You could tell those 4 objects were all in silver disc shape, objects, and one was the most interesting one. Was in, if you would believe, it was in diamond shape.
Okay.
Yeah, that was really interesting because I couldn't tell how this is different than the other ones. This was the last one. So there was total 5 objects, and one of them was in diamond shape, like a glass type of object. So, but the other ones all silver.
Okay. And with the diamond one, was it also in kind of that silver color as well?
No, it was like glass. Like.
Oh, so it was
See-through,
transparent. You could see through it.
Yeah, transparent. Yeah.
Okay.
That's why I was really freaking out. Why this is different? This is very interesting. I thought they would be all same, but no, this was different.
And when you looked at them through the binoculars, could you see any other details or anything on these craft?
The only detail I could see, yeah, as I said, the objects look silver and this shape, but the weird thing was the trail they left behind.
Okay, can you tell me a little bit more about that?
Yeah, well, they're not horizontal, so they come from the atmosphere, coming down. You can see all these trails they're leaving behind, just like any other military craft was leaving. But it was like more, should I say, in ash-looking color and thicker.
Okay.
Yeah, and those trails disappeared after a while. They didn't stay there.
Oh, they didn't stick around?
Yeah, nah. The trails disappeared. They were there for maybe up to 5 minutes or something, but I couldn't stay any longer there to watch them.
So were the crafts still there how long were they actually in the sky for?
Well, I could tell you that because from where I saw them first and to my house, it would take easily half an hour.
Oh, wow.
So those objects were there more than 30 minutes easily.
Yeah, right.
Probably an hour.
And did you have contact with anyone else to confirm what you were seeing?
Look, back then I wasn't really fully into the UFO subject, but I was really interested in it, and it used to amaze me a lot. These incidents. If I seen them now, I would have probably looked deeper into it. Asked the military or government departments. But, no, I didn't ask anybody, unfortunately.
Well, you seem to be a bit of a beacon for these UFOs, mate.
Yeah, well, look, me and my family have seen a few UFOs around. I don't know why. And the dreams we have, there's something in connection, obviously, but I couldn't work out why we're seeing these things. I mean, this is not the first time. I've seen a few other UFOs. I've seen some UFOs with looking like stars. They actually descend from the sky, and they would become like a monster light, very, very bright lights. And then I'm freaking out when this is happening, and then all of a sudden they disappear again. They go back into the atmosphere, and then they disappear. Yeah, this is quite a times it happened to us. Yeah, my brother's seen a few of them orange UFOs.
Yeah, because I was just about to ask you what if your family had any other encounters that you might want to share.
Yeah, my brother he's actually seen a few orange UFOs, but he didn't tell me in detail. But he's seen about 7 of them, and they all look like orange spheres through the sky at night time.
Okay, because it sounds like a majority of your, I guess, encounters have happened during the daytime, apart from the big red one that you saw back in 1985.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, but during the day, yeah. There's one particular one I've seen. This is going back a few years now. Again, I was in the car park. This is in Melbourne. I was in the car park waiting for my missus, and as always, I will always checking the skies out. And I was just looking at this aircraft passing by, and then I saw this massive bright light in oval shape UFO crossing the sky in enormous speed and just stopped just behind the cloud and never came out. This is another one I've seen, and I just still remember to this day. And I'm freaking out. It didn't come out. It just stopped there. It's unbelievable. I don't know. I'm not sure what it was, but yeah, this is. I think I've seen something like that in photos. This object was seen in 1960s or something. It reminds me of the same object.
Oh, okay. That's very interesting.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And then one last one we've seen not long ago. This was going back maybe 2 months ago or something. In our area when we were having a small birthday party for my son. My missus actually noticed it. She said there's something sparkling in the sky. So what are you talking about? And she said, look at this light. This is just flashing on us. And then I had a look at it. I go, hold on a minute. Yeah, it does actually. And the light was flashing at the same area and over again. So I thought I'll just record this thing on my phone. So I zoomed in with my Samsung phone and just recorded for maybe up to a minute or something. Obviously, there's not much to see on the screen of the phone. But what I did, I actually downloaded this program to slow down the video and then analyze this object through the video. And you could actually see these things accelerating at enormous speeds. And you can actually just see the light flashing when it was at maximum brightness. So,
do you still have a copy of that video by any chance?
Yes, I do, yes. I have that video.
Would you mind sharing that with us, just so we can include that with the episode show notes? So when people hear your encounters here, Karam, they can jump onto our website and have a look at the perhaps have a look at that video that you've got.
Definitely, I can do that.
Yeah, that would be great.
The only thing is you need a special program to slow down the video. Because with the normal eye, you probably won't be able to tell what it is, but when you slow it down, you can tell how fast is this object. And I think this is one of the major problems when spotting the UFOs. They're so fast, and they're flying at enormous speeds. Our eyes won't be able to catch them.
Yeah, absolutely, definitely.
Yeah, and this gives me a feeling that we have been visited at enormous amounts, around the world, but we're not able to see them because of their technology, I think. Yeah,
look, I do not think you're alone in that kind of mindset, because after everyone I've kind of spoken to already doing this podcast, it's becoming more and more evident that there's definitely something out there, and where we are getting visited on a regular basis, whether we know it or not.
Yeah, definitely. Well, isn't that hard to see if you look at the history? Like for centuries, we have drawings and other evidence that we've been visited. People misinterpret them.
Yeah, definitely.
And it's really not right to just being judgmental about this, because we can't be the only creatures, should I say, living in this universe. And while you got all these millions of stars around it, I don't see that as a waste. There must be something there.
Yeah, and I agree with you, and I'm sure a lot of other people do as well. But thanks for coming on the show there, Karam. It's been an absolute pleasure, and thank you for sharing your stories with us.
Sam, yeah, it's my pleasure, man. I'm delighted. Thank you very much for giving me a chance. Yeah.
And that's going to do it for tonight. And remember, if you have had an encounter, get in touch with me. My email address is believe@ccradio.com.au, or you can message me on Facebook, and that's facebook.com/Believe UFO Radio. Until next time, stay safe, and you've been listening to Believe Australian Paranormal and UFO Radio.